Welcome to the BNB Investing Podcast for real estate investors. Fix and flippers and realtors exploring investment options with Airbnbs and short-term rentals through acquisition, leasing, or management to generate consistent monthly revenue. Join us for a chat with experienced and successful short-term rental investors to hear their story of how they got started and created wealth by building scalable businesses. We also explore various service providers and lenders that help make our businesses more efficient and maximize revenue in this awesome sharing economy. Welcome your host, Rich Monroe.
Oh, sweet. All right. Give me a second to jump into Wi-Fi mode here.
All right. No problem. Hey, everybody. It's Rich Monroe. We're here with B&B Investing for our Facebook Live for this week. We've got some cabins and cottages that we're going to be going over. My buddy Michael is actually going to be joining us here in a minute. And so in the meantime, B&B Investing Group, we help investors navigate short-term rentals, whether you're looking to do acquisitions, the master lease strategy, or managing properties. And so we like talking to different investors based on their different niches, talking about their story, kind of how they got started, as well as looking at different options for us. And so that's why we're going to have Michael here today to talk about some of the options for cabins and cottages that his company has. And we're going to be kind of walking through some example floor plans. There's quite a few of you that I know are looking at acquiring and purchasing land and actually doing new construction. And so obviously there's a lot of different options. You can look at doing tiny homes, container homes, ADUs, and then there's also kind of the cabin style, which typically works well in mountains. So that's one of the reasons why we've already looked at some of the other options, and so the cabins is another interesting kind of new construction that you can kind of put together and suit or fit well with short-term rentals. So for those of you that are joining us, if you wouldn't mind just throwing a quick yes in the comments, want to make sure that you can hear me okay. And then we're also going to allow some time for any questions. So feel free to throw any questions you might have in the comment section below. And then we'll get started here in a few. We're waiting for Michael to jump back on. He just had his power outage go out in the hotel that he was staying at, and he had to change Wi-Fi networks. And so he'll be jumping back on here in just a second. While we're waiting for him, and we're going to cover this when he jumps on as well, but wanted to kind of give you guys a visual of kind of what we're going to be looking at here as different options. His company basically specializes in cabin homes and new construction, and there's various different options to look at, and we're going to kind of talk through what's involved with each of them in terms of the cost and everything like that. And so let me bring Michael on with us. Michael, thanks so much for jumping on today.
Oh, thanks for having me, Rich.
Yeah, cool. So if you wouldn't mind giving us a brief introduction, I've kind of told everyone what we're going to be covering today. And I was just showing them.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Vacavia we are a tiny house manufacturer out of Glockney, Georgia, which is just north of Tallahassee. We have 12 different models, and then we have 2 different versions of the same theme. Once we have is a cottage, which is more of a traditional look, and then we have a cabin, which more of like a cabin look. Both of them have an exterior of hardy board. The cabin is stained, and the cottage, any color you want. Typically, we are putting these in RV parks, campgrounds, but more so, people are getting involved in the Airbnb segment of it. Also, a big thing that people are getting involved in is for temporary housing. Let's say we have work camps, for an example, where folks come in, like in Georgia, for an example, they'll come in and pick blueberries. Well, we need to have a place to put these people. So we have a triplex, we have a duplex, we have a bunkhouse, man camps, fishing camps. Something that I think Rich got excited about was travel nurses. Travel nurses, they're with these big companies, and the receiving organization, they either give them an option of a stipend or they will give them housing. Well, I'm a realtor in Florida. I have been for 22 years. We all know that real estate is going up. And with that, of course, the rents are going up. So to put these professional people in somewhere decent, it's they either have to drive way far out or they're just not staying in accommodating housing. So a business idea that I'm trying to put together is, and we actually have something similar outside of Dothan called Wexford. And this gentleman has about 30 of these park models, and they're all in this little community, and it's gated, very safe. So what he does is he advertises to, in this case, the two hospitals that are there, and these professional people that are background checked that are on 13-week stints. A lot of times the hospital will pay up front. So that's something that's, it's easy guaranteed income. Their background check, they only have to be cleaned once. So people like that. There is a website that I get an email from. It's called Senior Moment. It'll come back to me. But at any rate, I'll have to look. I'll get it. But they send me an email every week, and just for Tallahassee, for an example, there were 5,112 people that were looking, professional people that were looking for temporary housing just in Tallahassee. Furnish Finder is what it's called. Forgive me, Furnish Finder.
Yeah.
So you can go on Furnish Finder, and you can actually go into any city and do a radius and say, okay, within this radius, how many people are actually looking for housing.
Right.
So that is, something that I'm trying to break into. I like to try to think outside of the box. They brought me on because I have a real estate background, and Vacavia, that has brought me on because they wanted me to develop the investor market. Well, sadly, there's no roadmap for what I'm trying to do. So I'm trying to think outside of the box and get creative. So that's one thing that can be done. Something else, oil companies. I'm talking to a gal right now in and around Savannah. They're putting in that huge Hyundai plant. Well, there's going to be 7,000 workers that are coming to work at this plant, and they're going to be on a 2-year rotation because of visas. Well, at the moment, they can't build homes fast enough.
Right.
Another cool thing about what we do is that since we're building them, they're on wheels. We can bring them in and set them up, let's say, on a piece of property that one of your investors is holding. And maybe the highest and best use is not there yet, but we can roll these models in. You can have income, residual income. And then, oh, by the way, they just, put a freeway ramp in. Now we want to put up a hotel, which might be the highest and best use. So guess what? You pull those off, put them somewhere else. And then another benefit is the tax base. You don't have to pay taxes like you would on a stick-built property. So there's that. There's just a lot of different things. I mean, just think outside of the box. But that's really how Rich and I kind of came together. I was in sort of feeling on Facebook to see, what kind of interest we could generate.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, and I think all of those.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say they actually they saw I was getting frustrated, so they actually put me on the road. So I've been in North Carolina the past week and a half, and just going to RV parks and I mean, just beautiful country up here. So I'll be on the road for the next 30 days, and then we have a show in New Orleans that we're going to in February, and then I'll be in Atlantic City in March. So yeah, it's just an exciting concept. It really is.
All right, very cool. And so you've just recently joined the company, but how long has the company been around?
Correct. The company's been around for over 20 years. It used to be called Pinnacle Park, and then it was purchased by the owners now, and it was renamed Vacavia.
Got it.
But we're in Glockney, Georgia. Oh, what happened? There we go. We're in Glockney, Georgia. Very, very small town. We employ about 60 people right now. At best, we can do close to 600 units per year. And the goal within the next year and a half is to be able to almost triple that.
Okay. Very cool.
Right now,
very cool.
Yeah. Yep. Right now we're looking at build time about 45 days. When we really get rolling, like for an example, we had an order for Florida Fish and Wildlife, and they were all the same unit. We were putting one out a day. And these are
Wow.
stick-built homes. Yeah, stick-built homes,
Mhm.
2x4 exterior walls. And so we do R22 in the floor, R15 in the walls, and then R19 in the ceiling. Depending on where they go in the country, we can go up to an R38 in the ceiling for the wind load. So we can do all kinds of stuff.
All right, and what I guess one of the things that caught my eye too was the economic value in terms of the cost being very
Correct,
reasonable.
correct,
All right,
correct.
what's the
So
average cost on the starter ones?
typically, and it's going to be with shipping, typically you're going to be mid 60s.
Okay.
We have a model called, let's say, the Duluth Station. That's a very popular model. It's 399 square feet. And then standard, it's going to come with a full residential appliance package. We stick built all of our cabinetry. If you're going to go with the cabin, you're going to have a stained beadboard. It's going to have, once again, the exterior is going to be stained, typically a green roof, so it kind of has that rustic look.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to pull up the website, there you go. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at the Savannah Flats. So if you click
Okay.
on the Savannah Flats, and it says read more, we actually have. Oh, now you're down.
I think it's loading.
Is that? Oh, okay.
Actually, give me 1 second here. I think I've got
Sure. We're just plagued with
internet
gremlins today. I
problems
used to be
today.
a road musician, and you just never had a perfect show. And there's always something going wrong.
Yeah, it never fails.
Another business model that we set up. Some people may want to be retailers. So they may already have the infrastructure in place for an RV park.
Hmm.
So we sell these generally. I mean, everybody pays the same price. Typically, I mean, if you buy multiples, we give you a discount, obviously. But what people are doing is, let's say a $65,000 unit, we're delivering to the the dealer, and then the dealer, I've seen them get anywhere from 125 to 150,000 for these. And then what they'll do is they will sell the lot. So they'll do a home land package, and then
Hmm.
that splits off as well. So okay, now you're going to make money on the unit itself. You're going to make money on the dirt, but then what they'll do is they'll say, okay, you own the unit, you own the dirt, but you have to pay us a $1,200 a month lot fee. And depending on, obviously, it would probably need to be a destination location, like along the beach or what have you in the mountains. But some of these people, I did a pro forma for some folks down in Defuniak Springs no, I'm sorry, Freeport, Florida. And they have 45 of these things. And on the average, these people are making like $28,000-$29,000 a year. So there's just all kinds of business models that can be done. Another cool thing too, backing up, is with this type of structure rolling in, there's not a long permit process. You don't have to jump through
Hmm.
the hoops of the municipality as far as engineering and things like that. With that said, some municipalities will say, yeah, you can have a park model, which is really what these are. These are classified as an RV. But the stipulation sometimes is, okay, well, you can't live in it more than 150 consecutive days. All municipalities are different. So in Georgia, we are actually a certified modular builder as well, meaning that anywhere you can put a mobile or a modular home, you can put one of our units. The caveat is some, excuse me, some municipalities have a size limit. So they say, okay, it can't be under 600 square foot. So we run into all
Mm-hmm.
kinds of roadblocks. So, before, anybody jumps into anything, you really want to check with your municipality. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that picture on the top, that's my favorite. That's called the Signature Series.
Okay.
And we can do stainless steel appliances. I mean, that one completely dressed out. It has all the bells and whistles.
All right. And then we're going to look
Yeah,
at
if you scroll
the
down
signature
you want to click where it
series.
says read more? There you go. Well, yeah, yeah. If you pull that up, we have video walkthroughs of all the models. So this would be the cabin look. And so that's exterior hardy board, very, very great product, holds the paint, holds the sun well. So this one's shown with a 10-foot porch. We could do a 6, actually a 4, 6, 8, or a 10 porch. We can screen them in. We can do a ceiling fan. So when you walk in, you can see now that's paneling. That's not what we use anymore. We actually take a different product and we stain it. Standard is going to come with white appliances. You can do black appliances for a small upgrade, or a lot of people like to do stainless. But residential, lavatory residential fixtures. I mean, it's a tiny house on wheels.
Yeah, very cool. And so, what's the, at your site, you've got to be set up for electrical and water, of course.
That's correct.
How does that, and that's on us to kind of figure that out, and then you guys just roll that in there and connect up to it?
Yes, sir. We actually have a manual, and it'll explain how to hook everything together. We're using residential PEX fittings, for an example, for the water. And then the drain lines, they're put in a certain place where they would all be tied together. And then if you folks are familiar with an RV park, most of them have a 4-inch drain line. We just put them all together and run the line. That's how you would do the drain line. So it's not like an RV where you have a black tank and a gray tank.
Got it.
Then the water is just a PEX fitting. And then the electrical, we recommend hooking up to a 100 amp service, because we can actually, do a washer dryer hookup in these things as well. But this is a very, very popular model.
All right. And is the concept that you kind of roll it in more of a permanent location, or is it something that is typically, are folks kind of moving them around when they have them to different locations?
Typically, when we bring them in, they're blocked and strapped down, similar to a modular home. And then a lot of people will put skirting around them. The wheels come off, and the tongue of the receiver actually comes off, and that slides up underneath the unit. If they ever had to move it again to disconnect the power of the water, put the wheels back on, put the hitch back on, and you can roll it right out. We have put these on pilings before, which is really cool. That's the triplex. That's a really cool unit. And we can actually move on the duplex, for an example, we could actually move the door on the short end and put porches on either end.
Nice.
But all of the windows that we use, high impact windows, the same that you'd see down along the coastline. It's not like when you see a lot of people are buying, sheds as a shell.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're finishing them out. The downside of that is that you don't have a 2x4, you have a 2x3. Most of those are stapled together instead of screwed, glued. It's just not, you get what you pay for. I was kind of laughing the other day. I was thinking about what I was going to talk about. And being on the road, I went out and I bought one of those cheap razors. Oh man, you get what you pay for, right?
Definitely. So is this 3 separate units in this triplex, or is it?
It is, yes, sir. It is.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that would be designed for, let's say you have, perfect example in the oil fields. Okay. You would have each, you might have 2 people in there. We could do bunk bed built-ins, but it's just an economy type thing. I mean, you're going to have a full shower, a sink, and a toilet in each one. You'll have a kitchenette. But in the oil fields, for an example, people will set these up, and the oil companies pay in advance.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's different things we can do now on the air conditioning. We recommend, depending on what you're going to do on the triplex and duplex, we have a cutout, and you would go to Home Depot or Lowe's and just get a air conditioner heater and put that in. That's the most economical way. On some of the higher end units, people will pay to put a split system in. They're a little bit more economical, and let's face it, they have the cool factor. So all of
Right.
these units here, they are the cabin look. And if you go back up, you can see all the same units in the cottage look. And there's some of these that we took pictures of that we had down along the coast, which is really neat. But I did prepare something for you here, for an ROI, because
Okay.
most people, I guess, the cap rate. What would you say that the basic real estate cap rate is? What's a good cap rate for you?
8 or 9.
8 or 9. Okay. So if I said 1.5 to 3, I would probably get your attention, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So just to give you this breakdown, let's say we're going to back up. The anticipated occupancy rate from a customer, the industry shows it's going to be somewhere between 50 to 70%. Okay. 4 weekends a month times 3-night minimum. Let's say 40% weekends only. The anticipated rate, I've seen people charge anywhere depending on the location. Actually, there's a new KOA that just opened up down on Panama City Beach, and they're new to Panama City Beach. They're not on the water, and bless their hearts, they really believe in their hearts they're going to get $340 a night for this thing. God love them. Maybe they will. I don't know. Typically, from what I'm seeing, especially up here in North Carolina, they're getting anywhere from 180 to 250 a night.
Yeah.
So let's just say that the anticipated, we're going to try to stay down on the clouds. Let's say that you have a 65% anticipated occupancy rate at $149 an average nightly rate. Okay. So 365 days times an occupancy rate of 65% is 237 rental nights a year, times $149 is $35,313. Of course, that's gross annual income. You divide that by 12 months, so you're looking at gross income of $29,443. Okay, using a purchase price delivered at 65 grand. Okay,
Yeah.
times 0.025 is typically the finance rate. You're looking at a payment of $1,625 a month. If you back out the 1625 from the 2943, that's a net profit of 1318 times 12 months. That's 15,816 a year. Okay. If you had 5 units, that's $79,000 a year. So you can see the cap rate is accelerated. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. And another way that we typically look at it is kind of a cash on cash return, ROI.
Okay.
And so using your same example, 35,000 in revenue, 65,000 cost, that's a 53% ROI, which is insane. I think,
yes,
we've just recently done one that was a 22% ROI. That was definitely, at the upper limits. And so 53% is definitely tremendous as well. Right. So
this is the signature series. This is my favorite.
Okay. And so folks are putting these near the beach as well?
Yes, sir. Yeah, they're putting them near the beach. They're putting them, I'm in the mountains right now. They're all over the place. Lake Norman up here. We probably have 50 to 100 up here. And people are paying. Actually, there's a dealership that was set up through these folks. And, they're bringing them in the door, shooting from the hip, not this particular model. Let's say they're bringing them in the door, the average unit, 65, 70 grand. They're selling these things all day long for $150, all day long.
Okay. And
now, this
so
one has finished drywall. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you guys are providing financing options on these as well?
For commercial, yes, we actually use a lender out in Washington State, Circle Lending, and he has some
Hmm.
very creative programs. For an example, a lot of the camps that we provide these units to, they're seasonal, so we can actually set up payments where they have a traditional payment during their busy months or during when they're open, and then their payment disappears in the off months.
Okay.
The only thing that I'm lacking right now, and these can be financed like an individual wanted to buy one. Okay. Since they're classified as an RV, anybody that can purchase an RV or can finance an RV rather can finance one of these.
And
Now, of
then,
course, the interest rate's going to be a little bit higher.
yeah. And let's recap what you were saying about, obviously when you're doing new construction and you've got to build a cabin or a tiny home, there's zoning involved with that. So all that kind of goes out the window if you've got a plot of land that's problematic,
Correct.
because this is on wheels, right? So you don't
Correct.
have to deal with zoning issues.
Well, I don't want to set false expectations. I would never tell somebody, oh yeah, don't worry about it, or beg for forgiveness. I would never want to do business that way. You always want to check with the zoning, but it's always about having a conversation. So this is considered a park model. It's an RV. So if you can park an RV on your property, you can have one of these.
Got it.
Okay. Some once again, some people will say, no, it has to be to a wind load 2 or wind load 3. Okay, no problem. In Georgia, at the moment, we are a certified modular builder. Now,
All right.
it is going to be reciprocal. So we're in Georgia, close to Florida. So Florida will be the next state that will become a certified modular builder, and then Alabama, and then so forth, so forth. So
all right, and just to recap the delivery time, so you guys kind of deliver these already ready to go?
yes, sir, absolutely. So what
And
you do is you go on the website, you tell me what unit you want, and then I would price out the options for you with delivery.
mm-hmm.
And another cool thing about us is that we are big enough to compete with the big boys, but we can also sit down and have a conversation. The gentleman that you sent my way, he wanted a specific layout.
Yeah.
And sadly, it took a little bit of time because the engineer was busy. We've got some big commercial accounts going through the plant right now, and me being on the road. At any rate, we were able to actually design a particular unit just for him. So we're big enough to compete with the big boys, but we're small enough we can sit down and have a conversation. Like ADA bathrooms is a hot button.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can do ADA bathrooms. Stuff like that. People, we deliver to Canada. We've actually taken some up through Alaska. If you've ever seen that show, Ice Road Truckers, and they're going up the highway there. We've actually taken some up there,
Sure.
but of course we have to put an extra installation. Yeah. So that's like a little
Mm-hmm.
kitchenette there. I mean, they're really cool. You see that the window unit there? That's the
Yeah.
most economical way to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But residential shower, residential commode, all the fittings are PEX.
And are there any like standard design features that can be placed outside to kind of cover up the wheels so it gives it more of a permanent feel?
Well, all right. If you look right there where the wheels are, typical install for this, it would be set on blocks and strapped down, just like a traditional modular or mobile home.
Got
The
it.
wheels would
Okay.
come off, the tongue would come off, and then what some people do is I've seen folks do lattice to go around for skirting.
Yeah.
I've actually
Right.
seen people where they will take more hardy board and stain it or paint it the same color so it's contiguous going down to the ground. We can't set these on a slab because of the way that the plumbing and the electrical run out.
Got it. Okay. All right. So,
But yeah, the duplex, that's very popular.
so is the duplex and triplex more than the other models? Is that a higher price point?
It's going to be a little bit higher. You're going to be probably this one delivered. Typically, you're probably going to be mid 70s. The triplex maybe high 70s. Hands down, the most expensive one that we have is going to be the Signature Series, and loaded out with the loft and delivered. You're probably going to, depending on where you're going, you're probably going to be in the low to mid 90s.
Okay, that's this guy here.
Correct.
Okay. All right. And how many days was it again for delivery?
You're looking at about 45 days. It depends on once you say grace over the design, okay, and then we go to build. It's typically 45 days from the time that we start to the time that we get it to you.
Got it. Okay. All right. Very cool. And
yeah,
if anyone's got interest to kind of get access, I'm gonna put Michael's website in the comments section here. And you guys can reach out to Michael directly. Are you able to kind of work out a discount for the B&B members group? Anybody
Absolutely.
that jumps out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Perfect. Let's see here. We have a question in the comments. I may have missed the answer. What's the largest square footage floor plan? Also cost of delivery?
Okay, so because we manufacture to what's called ANSI standards, a park model, we have to keep it under 400 square foot. So it'd be 399 square foot. Now that 399, just like in real estate, that's heated and cooled. It does not count the porch. Okay, it's going to depend on what bells and whistles you want. It's going to depend on what zip code you are, because sadly, it's expensive to move these things. So can you ask what zip code it's going to?
Yeah.
So what area?
So you guys, your home base is in Georgia, so you're shipping from Georgia?
Correct.
Right. So if we were shipping to, let's say the south part of Florida, what would that cost?
To Tampa, let's say, which model are we looking at? Let's say the Signature Series.
Let's say the Signature Series, yeah.
All right, Signature Series. Now the cabin is going to be more expensive than the cottage because of the bead board that we have in there. It's just more expensive to put on. It would be, let's say we're going to do with finished drywall instead of VOG. VOG is vinyl over gypsum. Just think of, the snazziest trailer you've been in, that's VOG. Let's say we're doing stainless steel appliances. Let's say we're not doing the loft. And we're going to do a mini split system. So you're going to have, two splits. You'll have one in the bedroom and then one outside. And now this is a shoot from the hip price. So let's see here. Let's say to Tampa. You beat right around 95 grand.
Okay, all in.
Correct.
All right, and then obviously the further away you are, so what was the shipping breakdown on that? Like $5 grand?
Shipping breakdown. It's going to be from $8 to $9 per mile.
$8 to $9 per mile. Okay.
Correct.
Got it.
So, and believe it or not, even when we ship to California and, we have to slap on $15,000 in shipping, we're still competitive.
Yeah. No, right. You're still pretty reasonable with it. That makes sense.
Exactly. Now that price is also reflective of if you order, 1 or 2 units. If you're going to do more, absolutely, we can give you a bigger discount.
Got it.
So, it just depends on, what you need and how soon you need it. That's another thing too. The way that I try to, the conversation I want to have with people when they're very interested in getting park models is, okay, what's your time frame? If they just need 1 or 2, yeah, I could probably slip them in. But this is the time of year when we are supplying some of the RV parks that are seasonal. So, believe it or not, we've got orders of 10, 20. We've got an order of 50 coming in next week. Mm-hmm. So, that's just going to slow it down. So I say that I'm selling manufacturing spots. So that's the first thing we need to have up front is, what is your anticipated delivery time? How soon do you need it?
Right. And so do you guys have a showroom in Georgia?
We do not. Everything that we have now, you're more than welcome to make an appointment and go and visit the plant. There's always units that are going through. But for an example, someone that's looking at the Signature Series, for an example, chances are, unless we have one in production for a customer, we won't have one, that you can walk through.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Everything is custom built. I mean, we're just way too busy. We're talking about, getting caught up and having, one or two 2Z models like that. We're just not there yet.
Got it. So if I wanted to see one live, though, are there some areas that you have existing clients that we could just kind of take a look at?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Awesome. Well, listen, Michael, I really appreciate your time today. This has been super informative.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, and definitely, guys, I'll throw his website out here in a minute on the comments. Feel free to reach out and take a look, take a deeper dive, and look at some options.
If you would share my email as well.
Yeah, sure. I'll put your email address out there as well, so folks can contact you directly. And then, B&B Investing Group, helps investors kind of look at different options and navigate the short-term rental model. If you guys are ready to kind of build a scalable business and want to learn more about that, reach out to me directly, and we can have a quick conversation to see if it'll be a good fit for you or not. Really looking for folks that are ready to take action and kind of ready to grow a large business. These cabins and cottages are an interesting way of strategically going into certain areas that are close to amenities and being able to set these up quickly. And so it's definitely an interesting investment option for sure.
Absolutely.
So thanks again, Michael. Really appreciate it. And
thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks everybody for checking us out, and we'll see you again next week. Take care. Have a good one.
All right, take care. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for jumping on the B&B Investing Podcast this week. Please click on the subscribe and like button below. For more trainings, property tours, and content, you can join my B&B Investing Facebook group by clicking below. If you are ready to grow your short-term rental portfolio and maximize your monthly income, you can click on the link below to schedule a quick strategy call with Rich or someone from his team to see how we can help or point you in the right direction. Stay tuned for our next episode and hope to see you on the B&B Investing Group podcast.